Somewhere in a climate-controlled vault at Yale University, there's a book that nobody on Earth can read. Not because it's written in a rare foreign language, not because the ink has faded past recognition. It's because, as far as anyone can tell, the language it's written in doesn't match any known language, living or dead, anywhere in recorded human history. Not Latin, not Greek, not Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, or any European dialect, ancient or modern. Nothing. And it's not a short book either. It's 240 pages of dense, flowing handwriting, filled with paintings of plants that don't exist in nature, star charts that don't match any known sky, and strange illustrations of naked women bathing in green liquid connected by an elaborate network of tubes that look almost architectural, like some kind of plumbing system built entirely out of the human body. It's called the Voynich Manuscript, and for over a century, some of the sharpest codebreakers in human history have tried to crack it. World War II cryptographers who broke Nazi Enigma codes, modern computer scientists armed with artificial intelligence, all of them have failed. And the deeper you look into why, the stranger this book gets. Let's start with where it came from, because even that part of the story took decades to piece together. In 1912, a Polish-American book dealer named Wilfrid Voynich was traveling through Italy, buying up old manuscripts, when he acquired a strange, unmarked handwritten book from a Jesuit college near Rome called Villa Mondragon. The Jesuits were quietly selling off parts of their library to raise money, and Voynich, who had spent his life hunting for rare and unusual texts, immediately recognized that this one was different from anything he'd ever seen. He spent the rest of his life trying to figure out what it was, and trying, unsuccessfully, to get it decoded. When he died in 1930, the mystery was still completely unsolved. The manuscript eventually made its way through a series of private collectors until it was donated to Yale University's Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library in 1969, where it remains today, cataloged simply as MS-408. Now, here's the first genuinely fascinating piece of evidence. For decades, people speculated the book might be a clever fake, something cooked up centuries later to fool a gullible buyer. But in 2009, researchers at the University of Arizona used radiocarbon dating on the manuscript's vellum, the calfskin pages it's written on. The results placed the vellum's creation between 1404 and 1438, firmly in the early 1400s. That's roughly 500 years before Wilfrid Voynich was even born. So whatever this book is, it's not a hoax invented by the man who found it. Someone in medieval Europe, likely in the early 15th century, sat down and produced this thing on purpose, using real, period-appropriate materials. Let's talk about what's actually inside it, because the content is where things get truly bizarre. Researchers have divided the manuscript into roughly 6 sections based on the illustrations. There's a botanical section, filled with detailed drawings of plants. The strange part is that almost none of these plants match any known species. Some look vaguely like sunflowers, water lilies, or thistles, but with details that don't correspond to real biology, roots that don't make sense, leaf patterns that don't exist in nature, flowers combined with the wrong kind of stem. Then there's an astronomical section, packed with circular diagrams that look like star charts or zodiac wheels, many surrounded by tiny naked figures holding stars, standing in rings around the diagrams. There's a section researchers have nicknamed balneological, meaning bathing-related, showing dozens of nude women submerged in green pools of liquid, connected by an elaborate network of pipes and tubes that look almost architectural, like some kind of plumbing system built entirely out of the human body. There's a pharmaceutical section showing small jars and containers alongside plant parts, suggesting recipes or instructions. And finally, there are pages of dense, unillustrated text that scholars believe might be some kind of recipe or instructional section, star maps. And running through every single page, tying it all together, is the text itself. Roughly 170,000 characters written fluently and confidently in flowing, practiced handwriting using an alphabet nobody has ever definitively identified. Researchers call it Voynichese. It has somewhere between 20 and 30 distinct characters, some resembling Latin letters, some resembling nothing recognizable at all. Here's where it gets statistically strange, and this is the part that keeps serious linguists and cryptographers up at night. If the text were pure gibberish, randomly scribbled to look like writing, you'd expect it to behave like random noise when you analyze it mathematically. But it doesn't. The Voynich text follows something called Zipf's law, a statistical pattern found in every known natural human language where certain words appear extremely frequently and most words appear rarely in a very specific mathematical curve. Random nonsense typically doesn't follow this pattern. Real language does. The text also has consistent word length patterns, consistent letter pairing rules, and repeated word structures that behave the way real grammar behaves. Prefixes and suffixes that combine in predictable ways, almost like conjugating verbs or declining nouns. Whoever wrote this book wasn't just scribbling random shapes, they were using something that functions statistically, like an actual language, or at least a very sophisticated system designed to imitate one with remarkable internal consistency. So who tried to crack it, and how badly did they fail? During World War I and World War II, some of history's greatest codebreakers took a swing at it. William Friedman, one of the most legendary cryptographers in American history, the man who helped break Japanese diplomatic codes during World War II, spent years of his personal time obsessing over the Voynich Manuscript. He organized a study group specifically to crack it. He died in 1969, having made no confirmed progress. In the decades since, the manuscript has been examined by NSA cryptographers, university linguistics departments, and more recently, artificial intelligence researchers who fed the text into machine learning models trained to detect patterns across hundreds of known languages. Some of these efforts have produced intriguing partial matches, momentary excitement that the text resembles medieval Hebrew or an early form of Turkish or a lost Romance language dialect. Every single one of these claims has eventually collapsed under closer scrutiny, either because the translations produced only vague, inconsistent nonsense, or because the statistical match turned out to be coincidental rather than meaningful. So what are the leading theories today? Theory 1 is that it's an actual language, possibly a constructed one, invented deliberately by its author, similar to how someone today might invent Klingon or Elvish, except centuries before those examples existed, for reasons we can't fully reconstruct. Maybe it was meant to be a private, secure system for recording forbidden or dangerous knowledge, alchemy, heretical medical theories, astrology deemed dangerous by the church. Theory 2 is that it's an elaborate hoax created specifically to fool a wealthy buyer into paying for something that looked impressively mysterious and valuable without actually meaning anything at all. Researcher Gordon Rugg demonstrated in 2003 that it's mathematically possible to generate Voynich-like gibberish using a simple medieval-era grid-based encoding tool called a cardan grill, producing text with some of the same statistical properties. Critics of this theory point out that Rugg's method still doesn't fully replicate the deeper grammatical consistency found throughout the real manuscript, and that faking 240 pages of consistent fake language by hand with zero modern computing tools would be an almost unbelievable feat of patience even as a hoax. Theory 3 is that it's a genuine but heavily disguised known language, written using a substitution cipher so effective that it simply resisted every attempt to crack it for 600 years. Proponents of this theory point to occasional Voynich-style ciphers used in genuine medieval documents for recording sensitive medical or political information. And Theory 4, one of the more unusual ones, suggests the text might represent what's called glossolalia, essentially a kind of automatic, trance-like writing, possibly connected to the visionary or mystical practices some medieval writers engaged in, meaning the text might carry meaning to its original author without functioning as a decodable, shareable language at all. Here's the honest, unsatisfying truth. Nobody knows. Not linguists, not cryptographers, not the AI models trained on centuries of human language data. Every few years, a new claim goes viral. A professor announces they've finally cracked it, and within weeks, other experts in the field pick the translation apart, showing it produces nonsense when applied consistently across the whole book. What makes the Voynich Manuscript different from a lot of unsolved mysteries is that this isn't a case of missing information. The entire object is sitting right there, fully preserved, fully digitized, available for anyone in the world to study today. Yale has even made high-resolution scans of every single page freely available online. Anyone with an internet connection can examine this book page by page right now. And still, 600 years after it was written, in a century where artificial intelligence can translate spoken language in real time and machines can decode ancient scripts other humans couldn't, this one 240-page book continues to sit there, fully visible, completely unread. Whoever wrote it knew exactly what they were putting on the page. We're the ones still trying to catch up.